Masigla ang Happy Family School of Excellence dito sa Upper Thomson, Singapore dahil sa mga batang Pinoy. Nagsimula ang eskwelahan bilang homeschool noong 2015 na binuo ng accountant na si Ninalyn matapos bigong maipasok sa local school ang anak niyang si Gabriel. Sa Singapore kasi, limitado ang slot sa public school para sa mga dayuhan dahil priority ang permanent residents. Di naman kayang tustusan na maraming OFW ang international schools na hanggang 2,000 Singaporean dollars o 75,000 pesos ang tuition kada buwan. Nagsimula si Ninalyn na sina Gabriel at kaibigan si Keisha lang ang estudyante.
Nag-create kasi ako ng happy parenting group para at least like to support group po ba na sa mga Filipino parent. Sinabi ko sa kanila yung, ganito, we can do this.
Ngayon hanggang grade 3 na ang itinuturo sa eskwelahan. May higit 70 estudyante, 6 na guro na ang 2 ay Singaporean at kumpleto ang pasilidad. Bukod sa science, math at English, nagtuturo rin sila ng Filipino para di malimutan ng mga bata ang sariling wika. Ang tuition, 500 Singaporean dollars kada buwan lang.
Education is very important, especially at this age, because it's the foundation years. So if any break there will definitely affect them in the future years.
How important is this school to you?
Like 100%.
Nag-apply na si Ninalyn sa Ministry of Education ng Singapore para makapagturo hanggang grade 6. Pinapaalalay naman ng Philippine Embassy ang eskwelahan sa Commission on Overseas Filipinos.
Kailangan punuan ho dahil siyempre may minimum requirements din ng mga eskwelahan dito. Sa mga buildings, may safety requirements. Dapat makipag-ugnayan ulit sila sa amin, mapag-usapan kung paano.
Yung goal kasi ng happy family is for them to be together regardless of the problems, the challenges.
Nag-iikot na rin ang Department of Education sa iba't ibang bansa para matulungan ng Filipino schools pero batid ng DepEd na mas matindi ang problema ng mga isinamang anak ng undocumented OFWs na hindi makapag-aral dahil walang dokumento.
There are more and more of these young people who go abroad and come back radicalized with totally different perspectives about our system.
Kasama rin sa mga inaayos ng DepEd ang pagbubukas ng alternative learning system sa mga migranteng Pinoy na di nakapag-aral o undergraduate. Sherian Torres, ABS-CBN News, Singapore.
Hello, good evening everyone. We're here, we're back. We missed last week's webinar, no? Medyo nagpahinga tayo. Kamusta po kayo mga mommies and daddies? I hope you're all doing great. You're all doing the best you can for the last week past. And we would appreciate if you are going to share this live video to your friends and family para naman, just like what are we going to talk about tonight, to spread the positivity, to spread the love for everyone, okay? So let's see if we have someone to say hi, okay? Let me go. What's this? Gavin? Ooh, Gavin! What is it? Gavin at 7 p.m. OMG. I think is Gavin watching with us right now? All right. So, for those who will be tuning in, please feel free to comment in the chat box. Hello, Sir Gary. Hello, Kuya Gary. Ayan, ayaw niya nagpapatawag ng Kuya Gary. Gary lang. But I'll call you Sir Gary for tonight. Hello, Jill. Bujil Jill. Thank you for tuning in. Ayan. Hello, Miss Norma. Nice to see you again. Here live. Ayan. So, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. Maybe you can introduce yourself, like where are you watching from, or you're a mom of, let's say, one of our dear HFSians. Yan, good evening to everybody. So, yan. So, let's have a quick recap of what we have discussed last 2 weeks ago. It's all about parenting styles, di ba? So, nagkaroon tayo ng different reflections on ano bang klaseng parenting style yung ginagamit natin towards our children. That was with Mommy Jo David. Say, hello, Mommy! Hello, Mommy Jo David. Inad na kita sa friends, sa FB friends. So, please approve. Hello, everyone. Okay, so, now, okay. We'll see. How about tonight? What are we going to be talking tonight? Okay, so we have few weeks left before we bid goodbye to 2020, di ba? So November, next week is December na, di ba? Magse-celebrate na tayo ng Christmas. But by far, 2020 is one of the most challenging years we have encountered. Di ba? Sa tingin nyo ba? Do you agree with me? Everyone, do you agree with me? 2020, di ba, is the most challenging years na na-encounter ng hindi mo lang, di ba? Everyone in the world, di ba? Hello po, Teslie, bye. Good evening. Watching from Antipolo, Philippines. Okay, let me go back. All right, so 2020 by far one of the most challenging years we have encountered. From climate changes, di ba? Yung ating Taal volcano nag-erupt. Virus outbreak, si Dear COVID na tama bang tawagin kung Dear COVID, di ba? So we're pleasing him or her, kung sino man siyang COVID na siya na umalis na dito sa mundo, di ba? Virus outbreak to recessions, di ba? Ang daming nating mga kababayan, especially here from Singapore, and not only here in Singapore but also in some part of the world, di ba? Forcefully, di ba? Walang choice kundi bumalik sa Pilipinas because, nawala ng trabaho because of this COVID situation. Because of this, how are we able to cope up and thrive despite of all of this? Diba? Ano ba yung mga pwede natin gawin? In our upcoming webinar episode, which is tonight, ang episode natin tonight, let us hear from our speaker how resiliency takes a major role in the current situation. Resiliency. Actually, I was mentioning one of the teachers here in HFSC, you know what? Yung word na resilience, parang ngayon ko lang ngayon ko lang na-encounter. Totoo, promise. I mean, hindi naman sa dahil wala akong alam. Diba? May mga words na parang, kasi nga, diba, gamit ang word na resiliency or resilience or resilient, diba? This pandemic period. So, kaya parang umaalingaw-ngaw na siya sa aking eardrums. Ayan, so let us hear from our speaker how resiliency takes a major role in our current situation. So, without further ado, si Sir Gary nag-agree sa akin. Ano nga ba tinanong ko kanina? Ba't ka nag-agree sa akin? Anyway. Ayan, yes, Sir Gary agreed that, yes, indeed, 2020 is the most challenging years that we have encountered. All right. Hello, Mommy. Jasmine, watching from, you have to be speaking English here. All right, watching from Illinois. Tama ba yung pronunciation ko? Illinois. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce first. Okay, so our topic for tonight, resilience amidst the pandemic, rising above challenges. And napakadami nating challenges na na-experience, but how are we going to rise above the challenges that we have experienced this year, this particular year, 2020? How are we going to spread positivity? Diba yan ang kailangan natin this period? How to spread positivity despite the challenges of finding a balance between work, family, and personal needs. Okay, so how making friends with failure? Okay, so normally we just avoid Ayoko mag-fail. We always have this fear of failures. But this time, ano ba ang may tutulong sa atin ng failure? Bakit kailangan nating harapin ang, ano ba yung Tagalog ng failure? Harapin ng failure, di ba? How making friends with failure propels one to succeed or to success. All right. So our guest speaker for tonight is a member of Partners for Excellence at HFSC International School. She has been, so mga ating mga other partners for excellence, please watch with us. Join us tonight. She has been living with her family in Singapore for 11 years and working as a full-time project manager. Apart from being a multitasking and doting mother to 3 wonderful children, and one of that is Nigella. Nigella, hello. She also enjoys playing the ukulele, singing, and engaging in art activities. So please join me as we welcome Mrs. Arlene Mandia.
Hello, a good day to all of you. I'm so thankful to be part of the series of talks that aims to aid parents and children alike during these rather different and difficult times. I am truly grateful to be given an opportunity to hopefully spread hope and positivity, especially to those who are greatly challenged by the current situation and the seemingly unsurmountable changes and uncertainties day in and out. So the key word of the theme of this session is resilience. And whenever I hear resilience, it brings to mind a favorite book, Who Moved My Cheese? It's such a popular and a good book, at the time used for change management, but nowadays we often hear resilience, and that book would prove useful. Resilience also reminds me of a couple of childhood toys, the rubber band and the slinky. As we all know, both the rubber band and the slinky can be stretched to some extent without breaking. Note that I said to some extent, because we all know that at some point it can also break. And I believe it's the same with us humans. Similar to the slinky and rubber band, too much strain can damage any person, and continuous and repetitive strains are equally damaging. Remember, a rubber band can get worn out little by little as it keeps on getting stretched. It loses its elasticity until it breaks. We'll never know how much weight we can carry until we start carrying a weight that we cannot. Now, I may be sounding very negative at this point, but allow me to drive at the following points. Number 1, we need to make a choice to be resilient. The opposite of elastic is rigid. I'd rather be a rubber band that can be stretched, in fact, to any size and shape when a situation calls for it, than be rigid. The first step to mind setting is in fact making a choice. Recently, while watching the videos of the severe flooding in the Philippines and its aftermath, with homes buried in muds, broken furniture, and a lot of other things, my heart broke even more. I know that the victims' ordeal is far from over. They will have to clean up, throw away broken stuff, buy new ones, notwithstanding the fact that they may not have the money. And that could happen again and again, as history tells us. With that, I thought, thank God I'm not in their place, else I would not know what to do. I don't think I can even handle it. Just like that, I concluded that I cannot handle such ordeal. I concluded that I am rigid. So what do you think will happen to me if such things happen, God forbid, given such mindset? So I snapped out of such thought. Instead, I chose to believe that I will be resilient when something unfortunate comes my way, as I had in the past. Number 2, know yourself. To be resilient, I believe we need to be self-aware. Self-awareness is having a clear perception of our own personality, strengths, weaknesses, thoughts, beliefs, motivations, emotions. By better understanding ourselves, it allows us to better understand other people, how they perceive us, and how to react to them or to a given situation. This also allows us to plan according to both our capabilities and limitations. Like if there's a strong typhoon coming in and it's expected to flood in your area, your plan will not include swimming to safety if you don't know how to swim. Resilience can be natural to some, but for some, it has to be learned. I remember when I was young and experienced the first flood in our hometown in Marikina, or at least a threat. I had this cousin, maybe she was 10 years old then, and probably never even washed dishes as they always had a helper. But when news broke that the nearby river has overflowed and flood water was fast approaching, she carried the sewing machine up to the house's second floor. And at that time, sewing machines were huge and really heavy as they were made of steel, unlike nowadays when sewing machines are made of plastic and are portable. Nobody can believe that she was able to carry it. Adrenaline rush, perhaps, but also a sign of resilience. She knew she had to help, and yes, she chose to stretch herself due to the situation's exigencies. To learn resilience, we need to respect our limitations while believing in ourselves and our capabilities and our ability to learn to be resilient. Then we face the challenges head on. It will be a learning process, a journey that will help us become a better person. Practicing positive mindset amidst the pandemic. The global pandemic brought about by COVID-19 has put us all to the test. It rocked the boat so immensely that no one is left in their comfort zones. All of a sudden, we had to stay home and our children were on home-based learning. At some point, even supermarkets and restaurants were closed, and there was panic buying prior to the closure that the shelves were emptied. If you didn't have stocks in your house, you'll starve, you and your family. Until when? Nobody knows. It was really scary. But then I realized that I underestimated my capability to stay positive in the midst of pandemic. When I could have resisted the new norm, I thought to myself, work from home? I've always wanted and believed in that. You see, when I was working in Metro Manila, heavy traffic was the daily burden of every commuter. To me, it was a waste of time, energy, and productivity. Plus, an unnecessary source of stress, notwithstanding the grave effects of the gas emissions to the environment. I've always hoped for a work-from-home arrangement, and with advancement in technology, why not? While the transportation and traffic in Singapore are never a problem, still, traveling to and from work takes time. And I'd rather use that time on more productive and meaningful tasks, like spending time with my family. So what is there to complain about? Yay, I work from home. I saw the positive in that situation. Then my daughter, who was in P2 at HFSC International School, had to do home-based learning. At first, there were technical issues like cannot connect to Zoom, and while I was in the middle of an online meeting, it was kind of stressful for me. We were blessed to have easily contactable and genuinely supportive educators, admin, and even the management at HFSC. They were prompt in responding and assisting. So that helped a lot, and with everyone at home, there's always someone to help. Then there were more homeworks and projects that I felt I had to spend more time helping my daughter. There were projects that required materials to be bought, but how if all shops are closed? But then, who doesn't want to be hands-on with their children's education? I've always wanted that too. I wanted to be able to support my children as much as I can, but being at the office was the limiting factor. Now that I was home, I was able to manage my time more effectively between my work and my family's needs. Need materials for the projects but shops were closed? Out came resourcefulness and creativity. I was pretty sure there was always something that we can reuse and recycle. So again, yay! I'm more hands-on with my daughter's education. And that paid off. Together with my daughter's maturity and interest in her studies and very good teachers at HFSC, she performed this school year really well. I found and seized the opportunities in the midst of the troubles. I know that the time will come when we may be asked to work again at our office, so I keep that in mind to be ready for it. I do not believe that this new norm of working from home is forever. The fairy tale will have to end sometime. I have traveled to and from work for more than 25 years, so you can now guess my age. And I accept that I cannot control everything. So what could go wrong that I cannot handle? If ever, it will only be my mindset. Now, while I may be self-aware, the pandemic helped me to know myself better, that I can remain positive and even fierce during the difficult times. And with resourcefulness and creativity, I think things even turned out for the better. Had things been the same, with me working full-time at the office and coming home late and tired, with minimal time for my family, my daughter would not have accomplished as much in her studies. Having said that, not all is perfect and smooth sailing. I am easily anxious to the point of depression. But knowing, acknowledging, and understanding those weaknesses, it allowed me to handle situations better. So, what were the failures that I experienced during this pandemic? First of all, please allow me to define failure as two things. Number one, doing something and not achieving the goal. Number two is not doing anything, even if an action is required. As a human, I feel that number one is more common and natural. We are afraid to fail, hence we don't try. We'd rather not do anything, even if an action is required, because we fear failure. The failure I would refer to is the failure to conquer myself, to conquer my fear and negativity. So despite the positivity and success stories that I shared earlier, we go to the other side of the spectrum, the failures due to my fears and negativity. Failure to fail manifests in how I work. I set high standards for myself so as not to fail. I have no rooms for error. Because of this mindset, I put unnecessary stress on myself. I worry when I have some deliverables and unfamiliar assignments. While I believe I am results-driven, the fear of not doing a good job really pulls me down and prevents me from moving forward. This is even more highlighted as I move to a new company and new project with new bosses and colleagues to work with. Everything was new and had to be learned. Then came COVID-19 to make things even worse. So the negativity was activated. I knew that if it doesn't get managed effectively, it will definitely lead me to failure. That process happens whenever we are faced with unfamiliar situations and uncertainties, such as COVID-19. The way we process our thoughts will dictate the outcome. Of course, we all know that the way is to try to be positive no matter what. But it isn't that easy, and there are times when we simply cannot, because not everything happens according to our plan. And sometimes we don't even have a plan, hence we fail. So to avoid failure, I always believe that you need to anticipate and plan for it. If you think about it, it requires a level of negativity as you anticipate problems to come. One of my former bosses once taught me that a certain level of pessimism will bring you to a higher level of optimism. For instance, a super typhoon is coming. The optimist would say, "We will be fine, no worries." The pessimist said, "This will bring another flood. We might as well be prepared for it." And started preparing. When the typhoon came, the optimist started getting anxious, while the pessimist was calm and composed while continuing to prepare for the worst. Then the flood happened. Who was in a better place to manage the situation? Nonetheless, we all know that when we fail, it will either bring us down or make us stronger. I cannot specify a certain failure because oftentimes I realize it is how I look at situations. For example, this is not COVID related. I've always hoped that my children will excel in school. I always aim that they will be well-rounded, that they can excel in sports, in music, in art, etc. But what if one of them is not interested in sports or in music? I think children may not make the right choice whether they should like or not a certain sport. So I will coax them until they try. Then I will support and encourage them to help them excel. But despite all this, if my child still doesn't excel in that sport, should I call it a failure? Or if my child doesn't get an A in all subjects, is that a failure? Or if my child is not the first honor in class, is that a failure? I remember I showed my eldest the grade of my daughter, who's the youngest. It was like 38 out of 40, and I was happy about it. My son said, "You used to be disappointed whenever I didn't perfect my tests then." And it broke my heart. My firstborn was an achiever. He was diagnosed with ADHD, but assessed to have a high IQ. Because of that, we had very high expectations from him. He would be on top of the class and would always win quiz bees. But there were a couple of times that he only won silver. See, I sounded like I wasn't happy with the silver, like it was a failure. But really, out of hundreds of students, he got the second place. Wasn't that a great feat already? Notwithstanding that he won gold in the others. We pushed him too hard that at some point, he lost interest in his studies. His grades were affected. He barely passed his subjects. We are blessed that he was able to spring back despite that experience. So a lot of times, my own expectations caused my failures, or rather perceived failures, and I learned from it. From that experience, I've learned to set realistic expectations given the potential capabilities, attitude, as well as the limitations of my children. I also learned to remind myself that every interaction with my children should be to encourage and motivate them, and never to criticize or push them too hard. I also learned not to compare them with others, a tendency that I had to break. That is why I was happy with my daughter's imperfect score. In fact, there was a time my daughter barely passed a test, but I didn't fret. I consoled her and assured her that we will continue to help her to review her lessons so that she will get better grades in the future. We discussed concrete steps to move forward. As a result of that, my daughter continued to be interested in her studies, diligently doing what is needed, and ending up with certain achievements this school year. Parenting is a hit-and-miss journey. There will be failures along the way. We stand up, we calibrate our plans and approach based on our learnings from our failures, and we will certainly do much better. Perfection is not a goal, as it is not achievable. How about children? How do we help our children to be resilient? Children are naturally resilient, much more resilient than adults, but they are easily afraid. So to me, to help them to be one is not to sow fear. When they start to feel fear, that's it. The buck stops there. They will not learn to be resilient. When there was COVID, I thought that making them realize the extent of the danger that it poses by reading aloud to them the news about those getting infected worldwide and those dying, they will learn to be more cautious, therefore be protective and safe from infection. And they did. In fact, they were overly cautious, that they sanitized their hands too often. But it was so extreme that they didn't want to leave the house, even if the circuit breaker or the quarantine was lifted. And the situation has improved significantly. My daughter even refused to go to school as they started the hybrid approach whereby on-site and home-based learning were done on alternate weeks. She feared getting infection at the bus or at the train. There were times when she would ask me what will happen if she gets COVID and hospitalized, etc. Her imagination started wandering, fueled by the fear I instilled on her, and she would end up crying. That time I knew I had to do damage control. I had to explain that the situation has improved significantly with very few cases found daily, and that the government is really good in managing the situation, thereby protecting the people. I also explained to her that her school has done what was necessary to ensure their safety from COVID-19. More importantly, my husband and I demonstrated to them that we were not afraid. Make them understand the situation, but not to the point of scaring them. Second, the children need to understand that problems will come and go. They need to be assured that we are here to support them, but not to solve problems for them. Only when they face the problem themselves that they will learn this. Third, we need to avoid overwhelming them or giving them tasks or problems to solve that are too difficult or humongous for them. Else we need to come to the rescue instantaneously. Children's imagination is vivid, creative, and very active, and it can snowball and trigger behaviors that are difficult to manage. When they are overwhelmed, they get anxious and may start losing self-confidence. On the extreme side, they might be even traumatized. Like if we continue pushing them, even if they're already crying out of frustration. So we need to immediately come up with an intervention. When my child gets overwhelmed, I hug him or her and remind them that I'm always here to help them. Me and my husband are always there to help them. I continue to speak encouragement to replace the negative thoughts and imagination that they are having. Finally, demonstrate to them how to handle difficulties. Explaining may not be sufficient. We all know that we as parents are our children's role models. So they learn from our behaviors. If they see us managing situations well, they will learn from us. Now, I am far from being a super mom. Like there are times when I have meltdowns. There were times when I can't handle a situation and my kids see it. They even see me crying. And I let that happen. Why? Because I believe that it will open their eyes to the reality that life is not a bed of roses. That problems are real and unavoidable. I want them to understand that. And with that understanding, it will help them accept it. With acceptance, they will be prepared for it with our help. I explain to them that it's okay to fail, but make sure you stand up and learn from that failure. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Every failure led him closer and closer to one of the greatest inventions of all time. It was a learning process for him. He didn't give up, and his light bulb continues to benefit mankind after almost 1.5 centuries. Now, how about myself? How do I take care of myself during this pandemic? Being a working mom is always a challenge, whether there's pandemic or not. Oftentimes, we forget to take care of our own health. I tend to get so engrossed with my work and responsibilities at home, work-life balance, that I always end up so tired. I relied on supplements to get me going. I would binge watch comedy TV series. I believe that laughter is the best medicine, as I learned from Reader's Digest when I was very young. I would indulge in saltwater chips and dark chocolates as my comfort food. And I never thought of exercising despite the nudges of my very supportive husband. And due to stress, I was eating a lot too. So how unhealthy can I get? On top of that, I have spinal spondylosis, which is a degenerative disease, basically a wear and tear of the discs on our spine. So it results to severe neck and shoulder pains that radiates to the head. It has bothered me every day for years. I would feel it at work as I face the computer most of the time. But it even got worse when I started working from home since I didn't have the right chair and position when working. Every time the pain gets unbearable, I call the GP and get some painkillers and plasters, the only remedy that I relied on. So since working from home started, I couldn't count the number of times I called the GP to get medicines, that it became my food. I reached the point when I knew I had to do something different. I asked the GP if I can see a specialist since it was chronic. So I was referred to an orthopedic, which I immediately consulted. I was advised to start physiotherapy and also get an MRI scan of my spine to know the extent of the problem. During my first physiotherapy session, I was taught a couple of very simple exercises. And I did that with the help of my daughter who would exercise with me. I was also advised to invest in the proper chair that will provide support to my back and neck and to elevate the laptop so that the screen is at eye level. So I did that. Finally, I was taught to ensure proper posture while working, like relaxing my back against the chair to remove the strain on my shoulders. So I followed all those and it did help. I rarely get the extreme pains anymore, and with a regular massage using essential oils that I learned from my parent friends from HFSC, it has become very manageable. Come my second physiotherapy, I was told to take a walk every day, even for just 15 minutes. No need to wear rubber shoes, just get out and walk. Enjoy the open air and feel the wind caress your skin and blow your hair. Listen to a variety of birds chirping. I am blessed that I live right beside the Pasiris Park, where I can not just walk but frolic on the white sand by the beach, go horseback riding, do water sports, and explore the mangrove forest and get close to its inhabitants. I need to keep pushing myself to do this on a regular basis. The opportunities are just outside our door and literally a few steps away. We may be very constrained right now as to what we can do to take care of ourselves, but we need to start appreciating the little things around us that we often take for granted. Mental health is of equal importance, perhaps even of greater importance given the current situation. To care for my mental health, I avoid negative news, albeit difficult as we always want to keep abreast of current events. I also do mindfulness exercises. I pray anytime, anywhere, when I feel any negativity starting to creep into me. I have created a few posters using recyclable materials to remind me that God will always give me the strength and help me carry on. And this I realized to be very effective. I try to give to charity, especially nowadays when it has never been easier to reach out to the needy. Helping others make me realize even more that I am so much blessed. And it gives me a grateful heart. A grateful heart is a happy heart. With that, I would like to thank you all for listening. God bless, and I'll be back later for the Q&A.
Hello, Mommy Arlene. Good
Hi,
evening.
Miss Joy.
Yeah,
Good
thank you again.
evening.
Thank you.
Hi,
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us your how to say expertise in managing, 'di ba? Yung ating managing this pandemic issues. Ayan. So talagang you have spread positivity for me and I guess for everyone kasi nga ang dami akong notes. Ang dami kong notes. Actually, every word
Oh,
that you've mentioned, parang dapat i-note, 'di ba? Dapat parang i-notes kasi pag hindi parang I will be missing out a lot of important matters from what you've mentioned, no. Yan, sabi mo last part, a grateful heart is a happy heart.
it's a happy
Yan, sabi
heart.
nga ni
Yeah.
'Di ba sabi nga ni Catriona Gray, if we could learn to be grateful, there's no way for the negativity to foster, 'di ba? So yan, so pang Miss Universe ang ating pang Miss mga sagutan ngayon. Thank you so much, Mami Arlene. Ang daming learnings, no? I think for me, takeaway ko, yung how are we going to teach resilience sa children. Naalala ko lang, I just want to add, no, nung I've mentioned earlier kay Mami, kay Miss Alex, sabi ko, alam mo tong word na resilience, talagang ngayon ko lang siya na-encounter. Hindi ko nga alam ibig sabihin nito dati. Parang ganon. Pero, when I look through your dinner mo na definition, it's how you adjust to changes, 'di ba? Parang na-realize ko, ay, andun siya sa isa sa mga item na tinetest namin or ino-observe namin sa mga bata when we do the assessment, 'di ba? So for those who were not aware, I am doing a behavioral therapy or occupational therapy session before. Tapos, yun, so parang, ay, andun yun, yung to be able to adjust to changes, yan, or to routine. So parang, oh, yun na pala ang tinatawag na resilient. And Mami Arlene, you ano ba, mas pinalinaw mo yung meaning ng resilience. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay,
I
yes.
hope it gave clarity and positivity to the viewers and to you as well, Miss Joy.
Yes, Mami Arlene, and the entire talk, the entire sharing, actually damang-dama ko yung emotion. Kasi parang nga yung
Mm.
when you were talking about the frustrations, when you were talking achievement that you have spent more time with your children, damang-dama ko yung yung emotions. Ayan. So before we continue, let's look for some let's uh, acknowledge our viewers for tonight. So hello, Mommy Joanne, hello, Sian. Thank you for watching. Kay Mommy Glenda, Mommy Potsy. Hello po. Ayan, sabi ni Mommy Potsy. Hello, Miss Joy and Miss Arlene. Mommy Isa, yung ating mga kumbaga sa mga Facebook page ay ating mga top fan. Ayan. Hi, Mommy. This is Nigella and Daddy. Si Daddy Marlon. Ayun. Siyempre, full support. Red Rich, subscribe HFSC. Si Red Rich. Siguro si Red Rich ng P2. 'Di ba? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Arlene. Learned so much tonight. Do you have... Oh, eto, meron na pala tayong question. From Miss Jans. Do you have any practical activities that children can engage in to build resilience? Uy, gusto kong malaman din to, Mami Arlene. Practical activities that children can engage in to build resilience. Ooh. Mami
Yeah,
Arlene.
yeah. I Miss Jans, thanks for the question. Actually, what I have in mind is the regular things that they play with, yung toys talaga, like Legos or, anything that they can assemble that will give them enough challenge. Doon matetest yung resilience ng bata, tsaka mahahasa. For example, there was this, di ba nauso noon yung Transformers na toy, na, you transform from a robot to a car and vice versa. I realize it's a very difficult toy to assemble. But doon ko nakita yung resilience ng mga anak ko, and my second born, si Gio, si Angelo, had a lot of resilience na talagang tsinaga niya na ako I gave up kasi sabi ko ang hirap nito, grabe. I mean, Lego you can put together and make it a shape that you want. Yun kasi you have to do it the right way to reach to create the right the create outcome, the right outcome. So pag mali ginawa mo, then so what I'm trying to say is toys can give them challenges. So, i-assess natin kung anong klaseng toys yung appropriate sa age nila that will give the right challenge na hindi naman sila ma-frustrate. Kasi ang bata minsan pag talagang hindi nila magawa, they get frustrated and then the insecurities build up. The self-esteem go down. That feeling nila, i-generalize na nila, I cannot do anything just because they failed to do something properly. So again, depending on the age of the kids, as skipping rope, that is it will give a challenge in itself. But again, depending on the age of the child, and some children can easily learn that. Yung iba hirap, no? So tatantyahin din natin kasi minsan pag sobrang hirap nga, baka bumaba naman yung self-esteem ng mga bata. And as I've mentioned in my talk, pag nawalan ng self-confidence or natakot, mahirap na lalong turuan, di ba? So any toy that would, challenge their mind, their imagination will help. These are the practical activities that I can think of.
Yes, thank you, Mami Arlene. Yes, actually parang ang sinasabi ni Mami Arlene, no, any activities, 'di ba, that you can give yung skipping rope toy, transformer, Lego. Nakaka-relate ako sa Lego kasi usually mga gift sa Lego, no? Tapos, nanay, come on, let's do this one. You help us. Okay, let's do it. We're gonna sit down. Then later on, ako na lang yung nagawa. Sila na-give up na. Yung especially yung mga maliliit. But actually ang ganda, ang galing po ng pagkakasagot niyo. Then I came to also a realization na oo nga, no, kasi when you've mentioned about we have to base it according to ano ba yung capability ng bata. Kasi 'di ba baka what we're trying to teach is what are we trying to avoid is yung getting frustrations, which is actually na-realize ko din na oo nga, no, resilience nga talaga yung tinuturo. Parang I just put the right word dun sa ginagawa ko with my students before. Like we start with something easy and then challenge them para naman, 'di ba? Kasi pag po normally, 'di ba, pag sinimulan agad natin ng something challenging, yun nga parang the tendency is that's so difficult. I cannot do it. It's so
Yes,
hard,
correct.
ganon. But then when we start with something easy and then eventually we put in some demand or additional demand or challenge dun sa activity, pwede naman, no? Just like, let's say, yung mention mo, Mami Arlene, yung skipping rope. So, medyo pwede sige. O, sige, first 3 muna. Tapos, 5 and then 10. Parang
Yes.
nag-a-apply din siya sa adult, no, Mami Arlene?
Correct. Yeah.
Ah,
Actually, if I may add, our role will not stop, kasi minsan may tendency tayong parents na dahil may ginagawa tayo, we're busy with our own work and responsibilities. Bibigyan natin sila ng something to keep them busy para hindi tayo maistorbo. And then, to each his own. Um, ang isa na realize ko rin kasi I have 3 kids nga. Pag pinabayaan mo sila, hindi mo nakikita na frustrate na pala, bumababa na pala ang self-confidence. Then, so maganda talaga na may bonding, kasama ka na, nagbaband na kayo, tapos maaalalayan mo pa, you can give the right support to your child. Dapat marunong ka ring basahin mo marunong mo ring basahin yung mga facial expression niya, yung mga body movements niya para makita mo na mukhang na-frustrate na to. So, mapagplanuhan mo na ano next move ko kasi ayaw mo dumating sa point na mag-break yung bata na ayoko na. I don't like this because, I cannot do this. I'm not good. Parang ganyan. Yun yung iniiwasan natin.
oh, yes. Tama, tama po, Mami. Okay, you have to see the signs of frustrations. Pag nandyan na, medyo, okay, break muna, no, Mami, no. Ayun, thank you. I hope, Mami Arlene, answered your question, Miss Jans. Hello, Mami Eliza, watching from Sengkang. And then, watching from Marikina City, Ismael Cheng Virayan. Siguro mga friends to ni Mami Arlene.
Yes.
Hello, watching from
Family.
Australia, Jerly Cruz. Hello, Mite. Good day, Mite. OMG, right with you on the Whining Kids, Miss Joy. Yes. Ayan. So, okay, meron tayong phone-in question. Phone-in question talaga. Ayaw niya mag-type. Gusto lang banggitin sa akin. Ayun. So, Mami Arlene, knowing you, okay, I think yung nagtanong, itago na lang natin siya sa pangalang Potsi.
Okay, hindi ko siya kilala. Okay.
Lalaki, yeah, that's very good. We have to keep her identity very, So, ayun, sabi niya, kasi she knows you very well, na you are a very busy individual, very busy mom, di ba?
Yes.
So, ang gusto niya ma-mention, di ba, how are you going to teach resilience to our children at the same time managing your time? Yeah, so you've mentioned, you have naglagan po. You have mentioned about your time for yourself, teaching the children, spending time with your children. Then at the same time, since you were working, you were given a chance to work from home. Still, diba? Still, we tend to be very, very busy. So how are we going to do this at the same time? How do you manage your time, Mami Arlene?
Actually, alam mo, as I've mentioned, it's like hit and miss.
Hit and miss.
Multiple things that you need to do at the same time. Parang you're trying to hit multiple birds with one stone. So, ang isa kong tingin ko in my experience, I've mentioned in my talk that I let them see me cry. Hindi ako naniniwala dun sa you have to show that you're always strong, you're always, parang ganyan. Kasi it might send a signal that, everything kakayanin nila. But as I've mentioned, you will never know what you cannot carry until you start carrying something that you cannot. Ang analogy dyan, if you're a pail na nilalagyan ng tubig, the tubig is your stressors, your work, your responsibilities. Hindi mo alam na mag-overflow na pala. Malalaman mo lang, nag-overflow na. Nag-breakdown ka na. Parang ganyan, So, number one, I make them understand that mommies and daddies have limitations too. We get tired, we get upset, we get angry, but they need to understand what these emotions mean to us and to them. That when we're angry, it doesn't mean we don't love them. That when we're tired, that means we also need to rest. We're also humans. So if they understand that, they will not be demanding unreasonably. Kasi minsan ang bata, di ba? Mami, labas tayo. Gusto kong gumala or, kain tayo sa McDo or something or Jollibee. But, I'm tired, anak then they will be more understanding. Hindi sila, okay, mommy, you're tired from work. So, may mga happy stories nga ako dyan that, when I'm feeling down or feeling tired, Nigella or, right now, my second son is also with me, si Gio. My eldest is in the Philippines. So, itong dalawang to, they will come to me, Mami, ano gusto mo? Gusto mo water? Gusto mo ng noodles? Whatever it is. They do these little things kasi naiintindihan nila that I also get tired. We also get tired. So, and in that, na parang, I don't know if it's innate or, natural sa bata to step up na katulad do'n hindi ko ine-expect that, minsan si Nigella ino-offer na i-massage ako, parang ganyan. So ako naman sige lang kahit na very light lang, it feels good, na tina-touch ka, mina-massage ka ng anak mo and so that is one of the things that I try to do. So in terms of time management naman, ito medyo mahirap pero somehow kasi nag-aral ako, I mean theoretically may napag-aralan ako about time management, operational management when you have to do line balancing, meaning you try to do things in parallel. So just like my boss was asking me, anong ginagawa mo sa house aside from, kasi nagwo-work ka, ganyan-ganyan. Sabi ko, nagluluto rin ako, ganyan. And, paano ka pa nakakapagluto? Kasi alam niya that I work, until late night, kasama ko siya, nagmi-meeting kami, minsan weekends, nagwo-work din kami. That's why Mommy Potsi knows that. Kasi minsan, niya, nagte-text ka, nagme-message kami na, na I'm busy with work. And, mayroon kasing time na kumbaga na ma-maximize ko yung time ko. I am able to structure what I'm supposed to do in such a way na na-optimize ko yung time ko. So for instance, 12 to 1 is lunch break. Pag walang meeting, minsan may lunch meeting pa. Pag walang meeting, I will think of a dish na maluluto ko in 30 minutes. Then I can eat in the next 30 minutes. So in that 30 minutes, then, lahat makakakain, hindi lang ako. And then the next 30 minutes, I can eat. 1 o'clock, I go back to work. Now, if I only have 30 minutes free time, iniisip ko ano yung pwede kong gawin within the 30 minutes that, ija-juggle ko yung mga dapat kong gawin. Parang ganun siya. So, I don't know if I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to drive at is you know what you need to do. Let's say you have 20 things to do today, but at the same time, you have this little time. Hahanapin mo kung saan mo maisisiksik lahat or ano yung pwede mong gawin 2 in a row. Minsan may Zoom meetings. I know I will not talk a lot in that meeting. So I will take that opportunity to take my snacks while attending the meeting. So yun yung beauty rin ng work from home. It gives you some flexibility. Kasi sa opisina, di mo magagawa yan eh. Nagmi-meeting kayo, kakain ka, hindi pwede, di ba? But while at home, I can take snacks while attending a meeting and I'm not losing anything. And I'm not disturbing anything. So that's how I'm able to manage my time, and at the same time, yun nga, yung pagturo ko ng sa mga bata ng resilience, it's really more on making them understand the dynamics in the house. para yung role and responsibility ng bawat isa mape-play namin all together, hopefully one day very cohesively and harmoniously.
Parang, hopefully one day, very harmoniously. Yes. Syempre may mga time siguro din na talagang medyo hindi natin nasusunod. But hearing it from you just a while ago, I can really tell na talagang you are a very busy mom. Very busy mom kasi parang wow. Kung siguro kung may 1 hour ako, iuupo ko lang muna siya at ipapahinga ko muna, no?
Oh,
Pero
I
okay
do
lang din.
that
But
sometimes. I do that sometimes
yes,
because I also need to take care of myself because
yes.
we all know, parents are the foundation of the family. Pag nag-breakdown ang parents, edi kawawa na yung pamilya, no, lalo na yung mga young kids. So I also do that. If I have, minsan I take a nap for 30 minutes during lunch break. Pagka talagang, kasi whatever your body needs, you have to give. Otherwise, later on you break down.
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you, Miss Mami Arlene. Thank you rin, Miss Jens, for quoting that. You'll never know what you can carry unless you carry what you cannot. 'Di ba? Ang bigat nung, pero ang lakas ng dating nung ganung nung shinare niyo po na 'yon, Mami Arlene, no. You'll never know what you can carry. But then, what catches my attention is after when you've mentioned na yung hindi mo alam na puno ka na pala, 'di ba? So you need to also be aware na bigla na lang palang umapaw yung ano mo, yung I mean, punong-puno ka na. So may limitation din. And also same what Mommy Posy said na it gives hope that things can get done eventually, 'di ba? At the same time
Yes.
you've mentioned na we have to let the children know that we parents have limitation, that it's okay to say I'm tired. Kasi ako, Mami Arlene, nagigilty ako kasi pag sinasabi ko na anak, mamaya naman, nanay is so tired. Kasi parang
Mm.
uh, for the last 5 years before I started working again in HFSC, full-time mom ako. So parang feeling ko, pag sinabi mong full-time mom, dapat full-time ka with them, no? But then of course, syempre
Yes.
nakakapagod. Then I'm very, very guilty na pag sinasabi kong, anak, mamaya naman, I'm tired na, gano'n, I want to sleep. But then, when you've mentioned about that they need to learn that we also have some limitations, another reflection for me na oo nga 'no, kasi pag nakita nila na I'm tired, tatanungin nila, "Are you okay nanay?" Gano'n. "Do you want something? Do
Mm.
you want to rest? You can sleep in the bedroom, we're okay here." Mga gano'n. So parang, ay oo nga 'no, parang it's a realization. What you have been
Yes.
mentioning now, it gives us a relief, a feeling of relief na it's okay. So yun naman talaga din po ang definitely for the rest of the parents watching us, yun din naman ang ating gustong maramdaman, 'di ba? That we are not alone here, that things are okay. Things like that are okay. Thank you, I thank you, Mommy Arlene, for emphasizing on those matter. Ayan. So, it's yes that kids are capable of big feelings also. Yeah, Mami Potsi said, kids are capable of big feelings also. May oyak. Agree ako dyan. Maso-surprise na lang tayo na, ay, nagawa niya yun. Ay, na-share niya yun with us. Ganon. So, Mami Arlene,
Sorry.
any last, it's okay. Mommy, last last words to share with us before we say bye to everyone.
Actually, thank you very much for having me here. And it's a pleasure to share my experience. I hope people were able to learn from it, even in a little way. Um, Yun lang. I think talagang positivity is very essential to keep us going because it's like a fuel that gives us the energy to move on. And yeah, so stay positive, have faith in God kasi yun, napaka-importante yun. And yun nga, Let's try to help. Helping will make us feel a lot better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
Mm.
bukas na bukas, declutter ako ng mga gamit at magdadahil. Ayan. Ayan. Meron pa sana ako isang tanong. Pwede bang humirit muna? Di ba, hirit lang muna ako ng isa, no? Mommy, when you mention like positivity, very important, no? Na kailangan natin. How do we handle naman yung mga tao na negative? 'Di ba? Oh, we're trying to be positive to everything, 'di ba? But then we will still encounter negative people around us, yung mga nega na parang, okay, we're gonna do this tomorrow, we're gonna start doing this. And then, ayan na, complain na, ay, hindi natin kaya yan, hindi yan pwede, ganyan.
Ah,
Parang gano'n. How are we going to manage
actually,
or to
sa akin,
deal?
sa akin, dalawa lang yan. Either you avoid them, kung talagang hindi mo sila kayang baguhin. Mahirap baguhin ng ibang tao eh. You
Okay.
know, avoid them or try to help them to see the positive in ano. Kaya lang if you do that, you have to ensure na hindi ka maaapektuhan. Kasi ako minsan naapektuhan ako eh. So pag
Yes, I
yung tao
agree.
naapektuhan ako, then I just avoid it, you know. Siyempre,
Oh.
ang natural ano natin is to try to help. Try to make someone happy, di ba? Yan yung natural na gusto nating mangyari. Pero pagka to the point na tayo na yung nagiging negative and unhappy, then we cannot pursue that anymore. Parang ganyan.
Ayun, ayan. At least na ano, meron na akong ways. Parang I'm speaking in behalf of my own experience, no? Kasi for
So
me, of course,
I
yeah.
think everyone encounters negative people.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
And I agree na talagang may mga time na when we encounter negativity, pati tayo nagiging negative na rin po, no? Ayan, biglang nabaliktad yung hello Mami Arlene. Ayan, naghang na si Mami. Ayan, to recap what the last sharing with what Mami Arlene mentioned, 'di ba? When you encounter we try to spread positivity during this pandemic, but still there are some people na very puro nega vibes, so we can avoid them or try to help them to be positive. At this is my opportunity to, because si Mami Eileen mentioned na, essential oils help her with her from her HFSC family. So another way to the shoo away the negativity is to use white angelica. Ayan, White Angelica. Lagi ko itong dala every day of my life. Lagi ko yung dala White Angelica. Anyway, so, ayan, since lang na-mention yan ni Mami Arlene, that's why isiningit ko lang. But then, ayan, Mami has low battery. Daddy, ikaw na ang pumasok in behalf of in behalf of Mami Arlene. Ayan, so, nag-low bat. Ayan, binigyan naman niya tayo ng abiso na baka mag-low-bat nga ang kanyang gadget. So, shall I wait for Mommy Arlene or maybe I don't want to hold. Nag-thank you naman si Mommy Arlene. Okay, Daddy Marlon, okay, in behalf of HFSC, we thank you, Mommy Arlene, for sharing your knowledge with us. Super dami naming learnings. Ako personally, ang dami. If I could only take notes of every words that you have shared with us, I will definitely do. Ang daming learnings and same thing, positive mindset. And for our children, let's show positivity. Let's demonstrate, be a model to our children using our in a positive way. So same as what of our previous episodes ng ating webinar, 'di ba? Laging natin sinasabi, we have to be model to our children. We have to be we should be demonstrating to them ano ba yung gusto nating nilang matutunan. We should be doing it in front of them. We, of course, need to practice what we preach. So in any skills that we want them to learn, the same thing from resiliency, positivity, love, kindness, gratefulness, ayan. All right. So, ayan. It's very true, avoiding negative people. Thank you, Tess Libay. Should I call you Mommy Tess? Thank you for sharing insights, Mommy Arlene. Very inspiring. Thanks. We've learned a lot. Yes, I agree. Mommy Isa, thank you also for staying with us. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next Tuesday for our last episode of this series of Tuesday Night Live. Ayan. So, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Lovely evening. Night.